Hey, what's up guys? This is DarkArmedAlliance, and today I'm going to be taking a little bit of a different deck profile. Today is going to be another debut deck profile of Tellarknights, in preparation of that new support coming out in, I believe it's Invasion of Venom, with Tellarknight Genesis, and the one with Construct on the front of it. But before I get into this, I would really like to give a shout out to Jason, who introduced me to this deck for the first time a long time ago, on my first day of going to Top Games. Jason, brother, this one's for you, really. I appreciate you introducing me to this deck and being such a good friend to me, but let's get into this deck and I'll show it off, and I hope I do this justice for my friend. So, here we go. So first off, I'm going to play 3 copies of Tellarknight Deneb. With 3 copies of Tellarknight Deneb, every time your Tellarknights are summoned, they get their effects off. So if that means special summon, normal summoned, any way they're summoned. So with Tellarknight Deneb, when this card is summoned, you can add 1 Tellarknight monster from your deck to your hand. So it's really, really, really good card. Then I play 3 copies of Tellarknight Altair. With Altair, every time it's normal summoned, you can, or not normal summoned, every time it's summoned, you can special summon a Tellarknight monster from your graveyard. And on top of that, only Tellarknight monsters can attack the turn you activate this card, and you cannot special summon an Altair, but you can only do either one of these effects for your Tellarknights once per turn. So they are a little balanced. And these decks did win Worlds. This deck did win Worlds, not my particular build, but a different build. So really proud of Tellarknights. Good job, guys. Then I play 3 copies of, I'm going to try and say this right, but don't criticize me if I butcher it, Anunkuli. I think it's Tellarknight Anunkuli. His effect is that when he's summoned, you can send 1 Tellarknight monster from your deck to the graveyard. So it's essentially a Foolish Burial. Normally what I would do is normal summon Anunkuli, send Deneb, and then next turn normal summon Altair, bring back Deneb, and then get your plays going like that. Now, I am only playing 2 copies of Vega. Vega, when it's normal summoned, you can special summon a Tellarknight monster from your hand. Now, that's not really that important all the time, so I'm only playing 2 copies of Vega. Then I'm playing 1 copy of Rigel. His effect is that once per turn, he can make a Tellarknight monster gain 500 attack points, but it's destroyed during the end phase. So it's a pretty damn good card. Then finally, for the 2 last monsters, because they're all light monsters, I'm playing 2 copies of Honest. Now, this doesn't look like a lot of monsters in the deck, and it's really not, but with the draw power and stuff like that, you really don't need it anyways. This deck is more of a control deck anyways, so you're playing 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 monsters. It might be 14. I think I'm counting wrong. 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. 14, yeah. So 14 monsters, not too bad. The majority of it is traps, to be completely honest with you guys. So then I'm playing 1 copy of Rhoda, which makes it 15 monsters, essentially. It's a proxy. I wish they would bring this back to 3. It wasn't really that broken at 3. I know the deck did win Worlds, but this card benefits so many different Warrior decks, it's not even funny, and there's not really a topping Warrior deck, so it wouldn't hurt to bring it back to 2. 1 copy of Raigeki, because I want to blow my opponent's board apart. 2 copies of Twin Twister, because Twin Twister is an amazing card. 3 copies of Pot of Duality, because you don't always have to special summon in this deck. So that's actually it for the spells. There's not a lot of spells in this deck either. Like I said, the majority of this deck is really traps. So I'm only playing 2, 4, 7 spells. So that is a lot of traps I'm playing. With 14 monsters and, 7 spells, that means there's 19 traps in this deck. So that's a lot of traps. So without further ado, let's get into the traps. I'm playing 1 copy of Bottomless because it's bottomless and it's amazing. 1 copy of Torrential Tribute because blowing up board is amazing. I'm going to slide these up a little bit because it's probably going to be 2 layers. 1 copy of Solemn Warning because Solemn Warning is, again, it stops a lot of stuff. 2 copies of Solemn Strike, because Solemn Strike is really, really good. He's like, none of this shit today. I don't want none of it. You're out of here. I don't want that monster. Get that shit out of here. Some people might disagree with me on this, but I still like it, and I still think it's a good card. 2 copies of Fiendish Chain, because it does stop my opponent from attacking, and it negates a monster effect. I know it can be cloggy, but with Trevor, or Trevor, I always call him Trevor, because it's funny. With Trevor, I can roll it back to hand, so that's why I play this. Then I play 3 copies of Stellar Nova Alpha. If my opponent activates a card, essentially any card, when my opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, I can send one face-up Tellarknight monster I control to the graveyard and then negate it and then draw a card. So it's a lot of counter in this deck. Like, this deck is super counter heavy. Then I play 3 copies of Quaking Mirror Force because it's Quaking Mirror Force, and why wouldn't you play Quaking Mirror Force in a counter deck? When my opponent attacks, I can flip their monsters in face down defense position, and they cannot flip back up. So they're just kind of ripe for the picking for my Deltaros to kind of pop them as I go. Then for the Reborn cards, I play 3 copies of Call of the Haunted, because Call of the Haunted brings back any of my Tellarknights and they instantly get their effects off. So it's kind of like once you get rolling, you're playing 6 extra monsters. So it's really nice. You summon 1 and you get like 3 when you summon 1. Then I play 3 copies of Oasis of Dragonsoul. Oasis of Dragonsoul, the only difference in Call of the Haunted and Oasis is Oasis turns my monster into a worm monster, and it special summons it in defense. But that's it for the main deck. I mean, it's a lot of traps, and a lot of self-explanatory traps, so I don't really have to go into it that deep. But, that's it. For the extra deck, let's get into it really quick. It might be a short deck profile. With Satellarknight Constellar Diamond, it's a really neat effect. You can overlay it on top of one of your Tellarknight monsters. It's pretty nice, and if your opponent activates a dark monster effect, you can detach a card from this and negate the monster's effect. I don't know if it destroys it. Yeah, it destroys it. So it's pretty nice. I really like this card, but you really only needed 1. Then I play 1 copy of Satellarknight Deltaros. Deltaros is super nice. It takes 3 level 4 monsters to make it, so it's generic. And when this card has XYZ materials, effects that are activated when a monster is normal or special summoned, your opponent cannot activate cards, like they can't bottomless your monsters while it has XYZ materials, and that's amazing. It's really amazing, and they can't torrential you and stuff like that, so it saves you from so much stuff. And then you can detach 1 XYZ to target 1 card your opponent controls. If this card, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Tellarknight monster from your hand or deck. So it just starts rolling. If you have it Altair in hand, you can special summon it, get out like Vega, and then special summon from hand to Tellarknight, and then you just go into Trevor or something. This is where shit gets really nuts. To Trevor, Trevor is probably the best card in the extra deck and one of the best XYZ monsters that's in the game. Its effect is that during the turn you XYZ summon this card, you cannot special summon monsters except Tellarknight monsters. If this card is XYZ summoned, return all other cards on the field to the hand. So it giant truenates every other card on the field. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ from this card. Discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand. And then, after that, if this card with XYZ material is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Tellarknight monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it's super, super good, because it giant truenates the field, which can let you roll if you have a face-up Call the Haunted, or Oasis of Dragon Souls, or even a Fiendish Chain, which I don't know where my Fiendish Chains went. Fiendish Chain. If you have one of those face up, any of those 8 cards face up, you can roll it back to hand and get a second use out of it, which is super, super good. Then I play the Utopia Lightning Engine. I'm playing 1 Ray, so I can get double attack out of this. A double 5,000 attack out of it, which is pretty nice. Then I'm playing one copy of Dark Rebellion XYZ's Dragon because it's a quick. If I already used Utopia Lightning and I didn't win, which usually I will, it's kind of just a filler. I mean, if you wanted to drop this out for a second Castell, because I only play one Castell, go for it. Then for some of the other XYZs, I play one Constellar Omega because it takes 2 light monsters. I can detach one XYZ material from this card. All Constellar monsters you currently control are unaffected by spell and trap cards. So it's essentially a I'm swinging at my opponent because they're playing a lot of stuff that can hit me with their spells and traps. Like if they're playing Demise something, that they're going to play Drowning or Quaking, I'm going to play this quick. Then I'm going to play one copy of Honor Arc to steal my opponent's stuff. One copy of Giant Hand to negate my opponent's stuff. One Castell to negate to spin my opponent's stuff back to deck. One Daigusto Emerald. If I start running out of monsters and it gets late game, I'll make Daigusto Emerald, spin 3 back to deck and draw a card. One Tsukuyomi, or Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi, I play this because it takes 2 light monsters, and with Tsukuyomi, if I'm starting to run out of cards in my hand, I can activate its effect. If I have at least 1 card in my hand, I can send my entire hand to the graveyard and draw 1 card. So it's not that bad. It's really good to refill your hand. And then finally, one number, is it 86? 86, yeah, I had to look. Number 86, it's really easy. It's not easy, but it's manageable to get 5 XYZs on this card, which makes it stupid. This card gets stupid when it has that many. Once per turn, you can destroy all other cards on the field if it has 5. If it has 4, your opponent cannot normal summon or set monsters. If it has 3, it's unaffected by all the card effects. 2, it gains 1500 attack points. And if it has 1, it cannot be destroyed by battle. So it's a 3000 beater that makes it so it can destroy everything on the field, can make it where your opponent can't normal summon or set monsters. Or is it normal summon or set? Cannot normal or special summon monsters, so they can set them, but it can just blow them up. But at the end phase, you have to detach 1. So that's it. That's it for the Tellarknights. It's not that bad. It's a really quick deck profile. I mean, compared to other people, maybe not. I like to get a little more explanatory with mine, but that's it. I hope I did it justice, guys. I really enjoy this deck. It's a lot of fun. It's a super lot of fun. A lot of negation. You gotta really know when to activate your trap cards. It's practice with this deck. But anyways, guys, this is DarkArmed Duels. Don't forget to join DarkArmedAlliance and subscribe, and I'm out.